Hi, this is Don Debilak. You've reached the third video in our video series, Pumping Up Sales, calling Understanding Customers, the key to getting them to buy. Now, in this sequence on Pumping Up Sales, we started out first by talking more about how to find customers, what are the best customers to find, and how to really target customers. This video series talks about really understanding those customers so that you can develop this best sales approach, the best marketing materials, and really the best overall plan for how you're going to sell those customers. Now, why do customers buy? I guess that's the first question you have to ask yourself. What is motivating your customers? If you want to understand them, you have to understand what their motivating factors are so that you can direct your sales points and all of your marketing message to the real reason they're buying. These are just some of the reasons, and this is sort of a table of contents which is coming up later, so all of these will go into a little bit further. But it's the goals, what are they trying to accomplish, a solution, what situation are they trying to find a solution for, what problems do they have they're trying to solve, or what needs do they have they're trying to solve. Are they buying because of features, benefits? Sometimes they understand the product pretty well and are looking for what features they want. Performance, just how well the product makes. Image, and we'll be talking a little about this a little later, but image is extremely important for certain market segments. If you've targeted a market segment, if, for instance, if you have a child who's in junior high, you know image is everything for them. Everything they buy is for an image. They'll spend $100 for a pair of jeans just to get the right image. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, there's people all up and down the age groups that buy mostly for image. Some people are very quality conscious. They're looking for the safest product or the most reliable product. Sometimes price is important, but as I said, the price conscious shopper isn't someone that usually you can make a lot of money on because they're usually very frugal and don't buy unless they absolutely have to. Some people are looking for a relationship so they can count on you, they can trust you, they can come to you with their problems on an ongoing basis. For example, plumbers, it's all about a relationship. You establish a positive relationship with the customer, they're going to keep buying. And convenience, sometimes it's just what's the most convenient thing to buy. Athletic shoes, just to give you an idea about goal orientation, what the customers like. Now, the fact is, there's different goals for different people in the marketplace, and they all buy differently because of that. So, if we're looking at athletic shoes or tennis shoes, if you will, basketball shoes, people who, and this was a pretty big study, they showed that people worried about winning and status bought Nike shoes. So if they're image conscious, and that's a large segment of the market, they like Nikes. People who are more interested in comfort and stability bought Reebok. So they were more feature and benefit oriented. People like to pamper themselves, so this is really an image, is they bought LA Gear. And people who just like simplicity and family values bought Keds. Now, this study is from a few years ago, so it's probably not the same the motivations as people have today. But it points out that in any market segment, people are buying shoes for a completely different reason, and these manufacturers are going to be developing their products to meet the market needs or goals or desires of their customer group. So Reebok probably isn't really worried too much about how to outmaneuver Nike and out sell them in that market segment. What they're interested in is producing products at their market segment that they target the shoes they want. So they're looking at comfort and stability. So that's a very big market segment. Reebok's happy with that segment. And that's really, you have to look at it. So don't look at the marketplaces that for your product category, every customer is the same. They're not. Every customer has the same goals. They don't. What you want to be looking for is, okay, I have a product. There's three competitors. Why are people buying each of those products? Because you'll find that they have different reasons. They're more goal oriented or more simplicity, etc. And what group doesn't have a product? What group doesn't have a product that has different concerns? And if you can find that group, and that's one of the things we talked about in finding customers and targeting customers, then you have a market niche where you can really succeed in. Now, how do customers buy? Again, this is varies not only by product category. So, in any product category, you have a whole variety of people who buy for different reasons. There's not really one uh, product category, one way to describe buyers in a category. But what you'll find is that within that category, products tend to fall out to different people based upon how they decide to buy. So some people are buying on advice or collaboration. So if you have a new baby coming and you're wondering what to buy, usually you're going to talk to other young parents or maybe your parents or people who have experience with babies and decide to buy really based on their recommendations. So it's collaboration. I mean, I know that my son just recently had a baby, and they relied heavily on their pediatrician and several books the pediatrician had recommended. Sometimes people just make their own decision. They don't collaborate with anyone. They just go out and buy it. Um, this is very typical for clothes or some hardware products or outdoor sports products. The people think they know what they're doing. They just go out and buy them. Then you're also, now this is a different category on how they buy. Do they buy retail? Do they buy online? Do they buy direct sales? Do they buy through an integrator? What is it people are looking for? So, for instance, if you're a dentist and you want to buy and you're going to buy a dental product, so if the dentist is unfamiliar with a new product, he might buy it through an integrator because the integrator will give him sales support, show him how to use it, give him some warranty backup. He might buy through a direct salesperson if it's available so that he'll pay less. He might buy online if he really knows the product category well. He's bought this product many times before. He doesn't really need any sales assistance. He just might buy it online to get the lowest price. Or he might go to a retail outlet, which would be in those cases a dental dealer, and just buy it from them. So, depending on how well people know the category, depending on how easy the product is to use or how much sales support is needed, depending on how much service support is needed, people are going to buy for different avenues. So you want to kind of say, you don't want to target everybody, and you're not going to have one method of sales that makes everybody happy, but you want to find a group in your target customer group who likes to buy a certain way, who maybe isn't being served as well as they could be, and you want to direct your product to them. Again, this technical and product support versus they don't want technical and product support, this really varies depending upon how experienced the people are on the market. So when these new cell phones came out first, you were buying them from an Apple store or you were buying them from a Sprint store or another store where you had a lot of sales support and technical support so people could show you how to use the phone and do everything about it. Now, as the computers came out, people also bought computers like that. But then after you get used to computers and you know them well, then you don't need all that technical support, and then you were willing to buy it from companies like Dell, and so mail order sales became a lot more popular. But the fact is you have to understand your customer group and what kind of product and technical support they want. Now, again, as you're looking at these market segments and you're picking out a group of people, you just want to find the group that's maybe not getting what they want because that's the group that's going to be easiest to sell to, and that's the group that you want to be targeting. You're going into a retailer and you say, for instance, if going back to our shoe example, if they were selling Nike and they were selling LA Gear and you walked in and you said, well, hey, I'm Reebok, and the people who really like comfort, they want to buy Reebok, so we fill a void in your store. You don't have any shoes for people who are really comfort oriented. Well, you know what? That shoe store is going to listen to that and more than likely put Reebok in. So you're positioning your product in your marketplace and within the customer groups to find a group of customers within the broader group where you can really target and give them exactly what they want. And I think the Reebok is a great example of how they went after a market segment that was an image or high class order that really wanted just comfortable shoes, which meant they were probably selling to a little older crowd, but all of their ads were more for an older crowd than the Nike, who was really the just do it for the very young and trendy people. Now, this next category is really after testing or by the latest innovation. In every market, there's people who will just buy the newest thing. They won't worry about testing it. They won't worry about all kinds of assurances. So when the iPods came out, the Shuffle, the iPod Shuffle, well, this was a mysterious product, at least to me. But a lot of young people who tend to be a lot more willing to take chances with innovation, or they understand it a lot better, they were willing to buy it right away. People who are a little older, they wanted a little more assurance. They wanted people to come out and actually establish the product would work. It's probably kind of a moot point now, but when the iPod first came out, uh, my son looked at it, knew exactly what it was and how it would work, and he was quite satisfied. To me, it didn't look like, I didn't even know what it was. In fact, I got an iPod Shuffle free. I won it in a contest, and I wasn't even going to throw it away because I just didn't get it. But my son picked up on it right away. So you want to pick a target customer. So if you have a latest innovation that's a little bit different, go with a younger target crowd. You're going to find as people are older, they're going to be much more interested in testing and assurances. And of course, some of your markets and target customers have to have the latest items. Others want to have the product that they feel is the most reliable or the most track record or has a proven history. So all these things are factors in looking at how the customers are buying. And again, what you're looking for is customers in the group of customers that will buy your type of product who aren't getting what they want, so that you can kind of frame your product to be just right for them. Goals, again, goals is another thing that this is one of the ones that we had talked about earlier in our list. I was going to tell you we were going to go over one by one. So, a goal is, for instance, a company might want an injury free workplace. That's their goal. They'll buy equipment ergonomically designed to relieve stress, right? So, that's a goal. But let's take a look at model airplanes. Why would someone buy a model airplane? What's his goal? Some people want to impress their grandkids. Other people want to impress fellow club members, so they belong to a club and they want to show them they got the neatest and the best model airplane and they know how to fly it. Or some of them just might enjoy flying and want an easy to fly airplane that they can get up in the air and won't impress all the other enthusiasts, but they don't care. They just like flying their plane. So what those goals are, and again, you're looking for the group where the goals aren't being met. You're looking for a group within the broader group that you can target your product for, that they're going to respond to immediately. So solutions. What solution is the customer trying to solve? Or what problem is he trying to solve, or what need is he trying to address, or what improvement in his life is he trying to do? Some products, the customers are really looking to find out how to do something. Um, a lot of products, like painting products, like products that you buy for your house to improve your house. You might be having a cabinet with special features. All of these things is there's some solution. And if you are selling a product that helps with a solution, you want to make sure you coordinate with the other products that the customer will use for that solution. And you want to be sure that your customers can actually see how it fits in. So if you're selling a solution with other products, don't be afraid to have your literature show the other complementary products that you fit in with. Don't just show your product by itself, or customers can't understand how it provides a solution. If you do that, you're not going to get anywhere. You want to you want to go with a distribution channel that also tries to solve the customer's problem and support the solution. That they have a whole line of products to do that. Lawn and garden centers are a good example of a distribution channel that is geared towards the local customers, and it are the local gardening or yard types of grass that you have, and they develop a product line to give you a total solution. That's the kind of distribution channel you want, because when customers go in to buy one of those products, they want some technical support on how to use it. The lawn and garden market has got an interesting characteristic in that you want to be aware of, and that is that people don't buy these products that often. Like you don't buy an edger for your lawn. maybe once every 6 or 7 years. So you're not totally familiar with all the new products. So when you buy products infrequently, usually you like more technical support. And then you want to be sure if you have a product that's a somewhat infrequent purchase, you want to be sure that there's technical support for those customers. You want to know if their solution is functional or emotional or other. Now, I'm telling you right now, like marketers love families that are about to have a baby because first of all, they buy a lot of stuff. Second, they pay a lot, and third, they're really in their first 2 or 3 years of life. New parents really buy a lot of stuff, and is that a functional or an emotional? Well, there's a certain amount of functional buying to have what you really need, but mostly it's emotional because people buy a lot more than what they really need because they really want to have the baby really have the best situation. So it's an emotional. So you need to tie yourself into that emotional sale and not into the functional sale. And if people have a baby stroller and it's like $280 when they could buy a baby stroller for $45, well, that's an emotional decision. There's no more function in the expensive one, but parents want what's best, or at least some of the parents do. And so you might also have a functional baby product. That's okay too. You just identify how your product is much more functional and still low cost or not too much more value over an umbrella stroller. It's not that you're picking one group over another. It's that you're picking a group, and an A group with distinct needs, and an A group that will want your product when you position it correctly. Again, here's how often is the solution sought. Well, parents of new babies they only happen once. But the parents only buy this once, and whenever they only buy it once, they have a tendency to either buy very low or very high. In the case of babies, they buy usually high. Is the solution visible to others? Now, this is another reason new parents buy a lot, because all their decisions are very visible. So they really want to look good. They want their parents to think they're doing a good job. They want their friends to think they're doing a good job. And so when the solution is visible to others, people are always willing to pay more. So you want to sell and target customers that they have a solution visible to others. And again, who is the solution most important to? This just means the buyer has, if it's only for him or her, they don't tend to buy the most expensive thing. But the minute the solution becomes important to others, like a mother with a family, or other things like this, where there's other influencers or are impacted by the decision, you'll find this is much better for you because they'll go after a more expensive solution. Now, features and benefits. As I mentioned earlier, some customers are very feature oriented. Some are wanting wow features. The iPods, Sony headphones are new products that really have a high wow impact. And sometimes this wow impact is also image related. They're going to buy the features that give them a higher image. Fun is a very underestimated feature for most products by marketers. People want to have fun. If something's funny, something will get comments. Some people like that. Other people don't want it to be fun. They want it to be very unnoticeable. Again, this really goes back to picking your target group and really working your product to fit what that target group needs. Some want a high visual appeal. Again, that's an image. Fit into the landscape. That means that your product doesn't stand in. It just kind of falls into place. Maybe you're meeting unsatisfied needs with features. That's always good. And maybe you're combining your features with the features of another product that gives a much better result. So again, you're not trying to have your product do all of these things. You're trying to find the customer group that you've targeted that wants something, and then put your feature benefits in line with their desires so that you have a real strong entry into the marketplace. Performance. These are the customers we like. As long as we're delivering it, they will pay top dollar for performance. I have relatives who will spend like $1,500 for golf clubs. even though their swing, it leaves a lot to be desired, and they're at best mid-range handicappers. But to them, how they play in golf is important. So people have things that are important to them, and they are willing to pay for that. So values for performance is very, when you find that group, it's excellent. Now, when you find a group, so for instance, in golf clubs, I'll just stay with that. Some people will pay anything for performance. Other people just don't want to have the crappiest golf clubs that don't work good. So they just want a value club that will deliver, and maybe their swing's not as good, and they might hit the ball 5 yards shorter than the top performance, but they're just not willing to pay the big money for top performance. Again, that's okay. What you're just trying to do is find the customer group that you're going to target, that's maybe not underserved, and that will really produce results for you. So for high performance, let's just, if you did have a golf thing, well, the high performance people, they're buying Callaway's or Taylor. And basically, that's a hard group to cut into because everybody's after that top performer. But the mid range golfer who's looking for value, and they're probably a lot easier, and they're very open to buying stuff as long as it's priced right and priced in the range and they can see how it will work. And again, people who are really related to performance are really, it's important to them. And it doesn't really matter how high their income is, it only matters how high that is on their priority. So some people, it's very important to have a real sports car with a good performance. Others want a good golf club. Others want to buy a mountain bike that's easiest to ride up and down hills. Um, as far as the hovercraft goes, some people might want one that's easiest to adjust. Some people might want that's easiest, that'll go the fastest. Others will want one that doesn't catch on fire, hopefully. So, again, picking that target group, using these criteria to decide what customers you're going to target and see what they really want so that you can deliver the marketing message that really will sell your product. This is really what this whole exercise is about. It's twofold. One, finding customers who have desires in the customer group that aren't being met, because there's a whole range of customers. Again, I go back to that Reebok example, which I think is so ideal. A lot of people were buying Nike in the days of Michael Jordan. It was the hottest product on the market, but Reebok found a niche. They found out that people who want comfort are a viable market opportunity, and they were willing to buy Reeboks for comfort and not worry about Nike. This is what you've got to be like. You've got to find that market niche that's underserved where you can deliver a product that people will really want and a product that will differentiate yourself from other products in the marketplace. Image, I just cannot tell you how important image is. You have a lot of people in a different ways. Some people want to have the best products. Some people want to have the most technology products. Other people are counter image people almost. They want to have a product that shows they don't care about image. Well, they still are caring about image. I got news for them. But basically, and other people like to just be thought of as solid. They're not going to be buying the fanciest cars or the fanciest products. They want to be thought of as frugal, or they want to be thought of as, conscientious in what they buy. So everybody has an image they're supporting. May not all be a high-tech image, but believe me, there's nobody who's not buying somewhat with an image in mind. So people want the image is about how you're viewed by others. You want the image to really reflect positively on you. The buyer does. He wants to have a positive image about it, but that all depends upon what his goals on. And image can cover a lot of things. It can be a latest technology. It could be your high income and successful. It could be your fashionable. It could be you're a great parent. It could be you're conscientious and spend your money wisely. It could be that you're frugal. It could be that you go against the grain and are outside the box. It really doesn't matter. There's just images that people have, and and generally speaking, most product groups have people who are in the whole spectrum of this image as far as what they're buying. And again, it's your job to find a group that is pretty big, can support your product, but maybe the other products aren't working quite as well for. Quality, this is the quality of the product. Now, basically, quality is assumed by most people, although they're not going to assume it by an inventor necessarily. But usually, any established product, they figure you're putting out a quality product unless you have a history of product failure. So your product doesn't look very like its quality. It has some kludgy looking things on it that make people wonder just how well it was designed. But quality becomes a very important consideration for some people. So you have conservative, frugal people. They're going to be very interested in quality, make sure the product lasts long. But as I mentioned, conservative, frugal people aren't really that desirable a market or a target market because usually they don't spend much and they don't spend often. But if you have a larger investment, like if people are buying a car or they're spending $10,000, they're going to be very interested in the quality. They might read consumer reports. They might see just how often the product fails. You also have if the consequence of a product failure is very high. So when you're buying a baby product, of course, the consequences of something not working or collapsing are high. So you're going to do research on that because the consequences are high. Normally, people say they all want better quality, and quality is an important consideration. But in reality, unless you really have some of the large investments or the consequences of failure are high, normally they don't really buy for quality, they buy for other reasons. But when you want to have quality and you want to convey that, so it's more of an issue where they won't buy you because of quality than they buy you because you do have quality because they expect it. But this is why fit and finish is so crucial for a product, really making sure it looks like it's made well, it fits together well, everything looks nice on the product, because if you don't have that immediately, then people start thinking about quality and they start wondering if really you're the right product to buy. Now, again, as I've mentioned many times throughout the video series, low price is dangerous. The people who buy on low price are very hard to make money from. They don't buy often. They're frugal, and they are really looking. And there's always a lower price from somebody. So you're really much better off using emotional factors, image factors, performance factors, and really adding value to your product along those lines. Those are the people you want to sell to. They're the ones who buy products all the time. They're the ones who pay a respectable price for the product, and they're the ones who, really will urge an inventor to be successful because they're not looking for a mainstream product. They're looking for a little bit better product. But on the other hand, you have to be consistent with your price. So you want to be pricing with other high to mid value products, people who are also looking at that emotional context. But remember, just because they have an emotional appeal, they're going to be appealing to certain people with certain goals and certain image constraints or considerations. That does so you can be emotional, but you can appeal to another group who has a different emotional response and is looking for a different image. So there's plenty of people or to target in any group, and so don't worry that this guy's an image producer, he's the top. Well, that image maybe is for Nike to have really the high performance shoes that Michael Jordan was wearing, but come back in there with Reebok and you have a product that's the most comfortable for walking long time if you are a little bit older and maybe your feet aren't quite what they used to be. I'm a believer that if your price is too high, it can hurt you, but having a low price seldom works because, first of all, other people will be lower, and second, you won't be making money and you'll be appealing to the wrong customer. The high image customer is not going to like to buy a low price product. There are people who do so, but most of the time with inventors, you don't have economies of scale going your way. You don't have the low cost production techniques. You're usually not all set up to go overseas. So price for the people who will willingly pay for your product. Now, I had an interesting experience. I worked with the Danish company. I took an invention from Danish and introduced it into the American market, and it was diesel particulate filters, which is a high-end product which would collect diesel smoke so that diesel trucks didn't have smoke coming out of them. But when I went over to Denmark, everyone got higher wages, everyone had higher taxes, the prices for everything are very high. And yet Denmark is not at all a low price exporting country. So I said, well, how do you get your exports? Well, what they do is they look for areas where they can make a high value product, where the product is important to people or they need to have it, and they're willing to pay the money. And really, that's how an inventor has to think too, because you're just not going to be in the big economies of scale. You've got to instead compete on the value, the added that you have, and finding the right customer group and delivering the product to them that they really want. Now, a relationship also comes into play sometimes, especially when you have a technical product or a new product, or you're doing something important for the customers. Um, and so you're not able to have a relationship with every customer, but you want to sell your product through distribution channels that do. So like a small baby store, you have a new baby product and you're going to sell it to Walmart or a big department store. They're not going to get any product support there. And so sometimes you're better off saying, well, I need a store that people are going to feel confident that they can go in and talk to the store owner or store salespeople and get advice on how to do stuff, and that they want to have a relationship with that store to kind of help them through their phases of buying products. Often bicyclists will have a store where they want a relationship where they can take their bike in and they can get all fine-tuned and prepped up, and where they can find the latest products or just find out all that's going on in the world of biking. So sometimes people like that personal context. Sometimes products lend themselves to that personal context because they need more explanation, and they like it. So, I mean, hunting and fishing products are good examples of, well, every year to year there's new lures. Certain things are working well in one market. So like the deer hunters or the duck hunters are saying, well, what's bringing the deer in? Or they'll say, what are the fish biting today? What are they hitting on? And so all of a sudden, these are stores that have a great personal relationship with their customers and can give that kind of information. They can say, well, I heard all these fishermen were hitting with sauger lures or up on the west end of the lake by such and such bay. That's what they expect from that store, and that's a personal relationship, and it's a personal context. And so, you know, you really want to do that, and you can use that, and you'll see in fishing stores and hunting stores, they really promote the inventor on the product a lot. And it's really good to brand your product with your name as an expert, or that you're just a guy who really knows what they do. I had an inventor I worked with. He made a live target lure that looked like a real fish, and his Coppers fishing lure. His name was Grand Coppers. He branded that product. He was on Field and Stream. People were talking about him, and he was very successful, and he's still very successful. But promoting the inventor ties your name to the product, and some industries like that. So that's really people who are looking for a relationship. Now Nintendo, which I'm not even sure they're still in business, but when they came out, they really tried to get a personal relationship too. They had fun clubs, they had newsletters with tactics, how to move up to different game levels. They had game counselors to help you actually figure out how to play the game and move forward. And they had a real community of people who were Nintendo users, and that was a great strategy. And this, of course, was when video games were starting out. Now, video games are everywhere, and I don't know if they really need to do that anymore. But when Nintendo started out, that relationship club they had is what really got people starting to sell their products. So look at your customers and think about, if you have a product like that that's kind of unknown, hey, you've got to develop that relationship. You have to put a program together, and you have to make that work for your customers so that they can really enjoy what you've got and see the value, and then they'll go ahead and buy. Our last category is convenience. Sometimes people are really convenience oriented and they're just going to buy a product that's easy to use, buy a product that's readily available, buy a product that's familiar. They're not leaders, they're followers. They like retro products a lot of times. This is a very tough category for inventor. As I said, you want to think like Denmark. You've got to provide a high value product that has features that people are really going to want and really going to pay for if you're going to succeed as an inventor. People who are buying for convenience are usually buying from a big company who's had the same product for like 20 years in the marketplace and doesn't change it much, but they keep buying. I mean, there's a lot of people who still buy Jello, who buy oatmeal. It's just the old traditional product, and they just don't change. Um, it's a tough group. If people are really oriented this way, don't try to compete in this group. You're not going to succeed. They're going to buy with older products. Go back and to look at some of these other categories to find a product that you can really take into the marketplace and succeed with.